Live, yeah. Akhand mandalakaram vyaptam yena characharam tatpadam darshitam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Ajnanatimidandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurmilitam yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Gurudevo Maheshwara Gurudeva Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah You may repeat after me. Sada Shiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. This session will be slightly different. Of course, Vedanta, but then I heard from many of you that you want certain clarity on some basics of Vedanta, since there are many new people, newcomers in this particular retreat. So for the benefit of them, I have put Advaita Vedanta 101 class, but 101 is always very important. Back to basics. So even for people who have been studying Vedanta, who have exposure, it's good to recollect the basics and see if your life and lifestyle is aligned to the principles of Advaita Vedanta. So, a brief introduction, a brief bird's eye view of Advaita Vedanta. So, Advaita, non-dual, non-duality. The duality is something that is known to everyone. You need not come to ashram and learn duality, because that's what your senses are telling you. That's what you have been experiencing, and that's what is your worldview, a regular person's worldview. A person has not found solution in this dualistic view of the world. Thus, a person turns into inquiring about the nature of the world, thus comes to know something about Advaita Vedanta and tries to know what it can offer. So as we have discussed, Advaita Vedanta as a vision in order to free oneself from the bondage of individuality, from the bondage of dissatisfaction, from the bondage of dukkha or sadness. That's Advaita Vedanta. We will go to the topic in depth, but every individual begins with considering oneself to be a limited person. We can go to the next slide. Every individual considers oneself to be limited. Why? Because one sees oneself to be the body and mind sense complex. From all directions, they are limited. Of course, they are limited, so person considers oneself to be limited. And based on this, a person comes to have this conclusion that my happiness is based on having all the things, people, situations that I want. And in the configuration that I want. Sometimes it's just not enough to have people, things, situations around you. You want it in right configuration. So only when the configuration of objects outside of you is all right, a person is happy. That's the view. Next slide, please. So an individual takes oneself to be limited and keeps on adding other limited things, people and situations in order to gain happiness. Now examine your own life. Has anybody found a permanent sense of happiness through this kind of a sum or an equation? It has never happened. Limitlessness can never be found by adding or subtracting limited things out of your life, into or out of your life. It can never be found. So, the only solution is to understand that one is fundamentally limitless. In fact, Swamiji, how do you say that one's true nature must be limitless? Because that is what everyone is seeking. In and through every transaction, you are never fine being a limited individual. But we are not deeply examining this feeling. You never want to be a limited individual. You want more recognition, meaning what? That limited recognition is not enough. Limited resources are not enough. So one's life is always directed towards limitlessness, and that only shows that one must be essentially limitless. Limitless. If one's true nature were to be limited, to be a limited individual, then you should never have any discomfort in being so, isn't it? Should be very okay being limited. If one's true nature were to be sadness, oh Swamiji, we have been coming to ashram, all of you have keep saying your true nature is Ananda, 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 but I am here all the time experiencing sadness. I think sadness seems to be my real nature. If that were to be so, you should have been very comfortable being sad. You're never comfortable being sad. Just like if a dust particle is in the eyes, the whole system works in order to get rid of that dust particle. Tear glands work extra time in order to get rid of that dust particle. Similarly, even an ounce of sorrow, sadness, you cannot take it. You want to get rid of it. And as we have discussed, everybody knows a temporary solution to get rid of this sadness. But nobody seems to have a permanent solution. Vedanta is focused on discovering the permanent solution. So the next one, next slide. Thus, this person's happiness, which is always dependent on people, situations, and things, is always up and down. It's never steady. It's always fluctuating. It's always fluctuating. Never steady. In fact, you try so much to make it steady. You plan 1 week to book the perfect holiday. Then you go to the destination and then room lacks something that you wanted. So something goes wrong. So then again it's wavy happiness, never stable. So this human effort to control the external situations in order to be fine is an ongoing war. It is never won. Never won. Furthermore, and this ordinary person also has a conception about God. So this person who is trying to make sense of the world through this equation has Bhagavan, God in his or her life, and that Bhagavan has a location, and just like we have 651 Route 115, Sailorsburg, Pennsylvania, so the Bhagavan also has a location. Where is that? Located in heaven. Or the local address, local address temple. In fact, if you have Bhagavan with you all the time, it's a nuisance, That's why humans made an easy job. Put it in the temple so that you can lock him up for some after ritual. You don't want to deal with that God, or put it in the heaven elsewhere. And then you also have a conception of God. God is there to give me all that I ask for. Furthermore, so as I said, you look upon God as somebody like Amazon who delivers all that you want. So here is a family praying. Just like you click on what you want, your wish list, that family keeps on putting the prayers. So car, our Desi context, so that's why I put Tesla there. So you keep on praying to God, and God has to deliver all that you want. Then you give thumbs up to God. Then you are happy. That's an ordinary conception of God. Furthermore, so we also have a belief system in place. I, as an individual, I pray, I do homa, I do yajna, I may do pilgrimage, I may pray, etc. to God in heaven. And that God in heaven, because of my work, hard work, and the prayers, because a human being understands just hard work is not enough. I don't control all the situations, so I need prayers as well. So you pray to that God in heaven, so to give you all that you want. Roti, kapda, makan, basically, all that you're desiring, all that you want. And those desires include India also. Because having left the country, being here, you have one foot there. Good to have. I'm not contesting it, just for the situation. So something that you want to happen there also. So this is the view. Furthermore, so that is fine. A common man needs some belief to live life. We are not here to shake up that person's belief. In fact, I think it was a movie dialogue or something back then, many years back, some Hindi movie. So person is praying or something on the streets. Very humble person. The person doesn't have much. And a scholar tries to go to that person and logic with him. Oh, your prayer is going to be answered or what? This, that. then that person says, all that I have is belief. Don't take it away from me. Very profound. Kuch bhi nahi hai mere paas. All that I am left with is belief. Do not take away that. But here, we are not addressing a common man. It's a student of Vedanta. You have chosen to learn something more about your own life, a higher knowledge. So belief is very much required. We are not criticizing somebody's belief. We are not disrespectful about somebody's belief. Some belief is always required, however rudimentary it may feel. However, whatever the Amazon example that I gave you, that's fine. That works for millions of people. They're living their life. We are not critiquing their life. We are critiquing our own lives. Your life, our life, not their life. So you see, if you fit into that picture, if your life fits into that picture, then there is something more to be known, something more to be done. So we discuss the limitation of such an approach. For an example, a hypothetical scenario, there are 3 employees, all 3 are from Stanford, all 3 have same level of experience, and there is a promotion opening in that company. So all 3 of them are very good people, all 3 of them are bhaktas, and all 3 of them are praying to God to enable the promotion. Now who will get that promotion there? Who should get? Suppose God answers one person's prayer, then God becomes partial, just like your mother-in-law. Isn't it so? So now the God who should not have any dosha, what is Bhagavan? Dosha rahitaha, without any flaws. Human being, flaw, of course acceptable. Bhagavan, flawed? No, doesn't make sense. Isn't it so? So who does Bhagavan answer? Who does Bhagavan bless? If he blesses person A, then he has denied person B and C. Partiality. That's not how it happens. So somebody gets it. Somebody gets it. How does that person get? Next one. Due to karma. One's own karma. Not that there is a God sitting in heaven looking who prays the best. Who has given the most perfect prasadam to Naivedyam? Whose pongal is best? Whose khada prasad is best? I will bless that person. Doesn't work like that. Who has prayed more? Person A prayed 108 times. Person B prayed 1008 times. Does it work? Doesn't work that way. So it's all due to one's karma. Karma is this web of interconnection. What one has done in this life, what one has done in previous life, what one did last year, what one did 3 years back, papa, punya, all of them gather together along with your self-effort to give you a result. It's like a web. Can you make out which is the original line in the web? You can never make out. Pujya Swamiji used to give the example of noodles. Can you make out that noodle thread which is there at the chopstick? What it is connected to in the ball? You can never make out. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Gahana karmano gatihi. The ways of the karma is like that of the sky. What leads to what in our life can never be known. It's like Akasha. Can you know which is east and which is west in the sky? You just cannot know. You do not know. So the advice is to be on a path of goodness, on the path of dharma. So that path of dharma produces punya and helps you have good situations in life. Good situations in life. But I'll do this. I want only that. Childish. Just like I told you, the child wants mother to fix the broken banana. Doesn't work like that. Next one. So then, is there a place for miracle in one's life? Every rule has an exception. Yes, many people have experienced some form of miracle in their own life. Yes, we can accommodate that also. There could be a place for that as well. But from the standpoint of karma, there's really no miracle. Your own punya has fructified. Your own punya has fructified. Years back, it seems one of Pujya Swamiji's students, she was driving to Pennsylvania. One of those days where suddenly there is a snowstorm. This is 25 years back story. She is driving and suddenly there is this snowstorm and she had a flat tire. And she thought she's stuck on that highway. There is no way out. She doesn't know what's going to happen that day. She was very concerned. She prayed. Somehow, somebody stopped and helped that person to change the flat tire, and that person came to Gurukulam. That person came to Gurukulam and said, and met Pujya Swamiji, and that person said, Swamiji, really, God is there. God only sent that person to change my flat tire today. God itself sent. And Pujya Swamiji looked at her and said, who gave you the flat tire then? Is there a devil sitting somewhere that gives you flat tire? You see, only the pleasant we tend to associate with reference to something as God's grace or something coming from God. Then where is unpleasant coming from? Then if you say devil, devil becomes a parallel reality to God. So God and devil, there are two parallel things, just like one good king, bad king. See, becomes such a flawed conception of divinity. So we must move on to accept one basic truth of life. Next one, that there is fruit of an action in every situation called phalam. And Ramana Maharshi says in the text, Karturajnaya prapyathe phalam karma kimparam karma tajjadam. So according to the laws of the karma, according to this conscious entity, the higher power, Ishvara, who is available in the form of karmic laws as well. According to those laws, you get the fruit of action. And those actions are not ultimate. May you do not take it like that they are phalam. And furthermore, he goes on to say in second verse, phalama shashvatam gati nirodhakam. All this phalam is not, these fruits that you see are highly perishable. Any result that you find doesn't stay like that forever. Nothing lasts forever. Next one. So if a person is just in this mode, a person is always subject to this cycle of pain and pleasure. You do something, pain. You get rid of it, pleasure. After some time, again pain. So you're always stuck in this cycle that we have discussed. Next one. This person has a conception, and ordinarily, each and every person, even at the beginning of the Vedantic journey, thinks oneself to be an individual, a jiva, and there is Jagat, or the world outside, and there is Ishvara somewhere else. You may not know exact location, but you know that definitely it's not here. That higher power is not here. That kind of a conception. That kind of a conception. Vedanta comes to correct this error, correct this perception. What is that? Next one. Vedanta shows, on a first level, see that you always consider yourself to be an individual. As I discussed in the earlier session, this physical body, the mind, senses made out of Panchabhutas are just same as the world. What is contained in this table is the same thing with which the body is made up of. Whatever is the apple made up of, the body is made up of the same substance. That's why you eat the apple, you become the apple too after some time. That's how it is. So on first level, let there be understanding that I'm not separate from the world. Vedanta moves on one more step further to correct the error. Next one. To show that God, the higher power, Brahman, is Abhinna Nimitta Upadana Karana of the Jagat. A technical term I will explain. When you look upon the creation, a creation presupposes creator, and then there must be some material for the creator to create. That is the usual model. But rishis have shown us, hey, look deeply. God is not in one particular location, just like a potter taking up clay and creating the world of pots. God is not such an entity. All that is here is manifestation of divinity itself. Manifestation of divinity itself. So, all that you see around is just manifest form of Brahman. The Jagat is but Ishvara in essence. Jagat is but Ishvara in essence. So, whatever you see as Jiva, whatever you see as the world, and whatever you are seeing as Ishvara, something outside, the vision is that God is expressing itself as the manifold universe, One may know or may not know, somehow this is very much there in the blood of Sanatana Dharma. That's why that worshipful attitude is there towards a tree, towards a child, towards a lump of turmeric, towards river, towards mountain, towards everything. There doesn't seem to be one substance that we don't worship. That attitude is there. Somehow that attitude is also diluted. If we look upon something as sacred, we must not be spoiling it. If we look upon a river as sacred, we must not pollute it. Somehow that attitude is also diluted in many contexts. We must raise ourselves to look upon the Jagat as Ishvara. Jagata Ishadhi Yukta Sevanam. Ramana Maharshi has told, do all the actions in the world as if you are doing a puja to Bhagavan Ishvara, who is available as Ashtamurti, as 8 forms that we discussed as the entire world too. Next one. So now you understand, you conceptualize that, ignore the word there, somehow that this thing has come. But you understand, universe is not what you want it to be. It's very vast. It's very vast. If a person really thinks about it all, then one comes to understand life is something more than getting something or getting rid of something. There's vast universe. We never look up, That's why we keep on looking down upon the screen. That's why higher things don't come at all to our mind. Higher things never come. This story Swami TV shared once. He was walking in Rishikesh many years back along with another Mahatma. And Swami TV was walking along with this Mahatma and was saying, Swamiji, look, oh my God, there is dirt here. There's so much plastic thrown here. There is dust there, something here. So Swamiji was saying that. And the Mahatma who was there next to him, he told Swamiji, it seems, hey, why are you all the time looking down? Look up, there is clear sky. Clear sky. It doesn't mean that we should do what is to be done in the world. It's not, the Mahatma is not telling him to ignore what is around. That is not the tatparya, the essence of the story. That's not the essence of the story. What is the essence of the story? That if we are concerned only about the lower, we can never have a conception of anything higher, anything worthwhile in life. And looking upon this vastness of the world, its structure, its form, that limitlessness, you come to have one more attitude. The next slide. You'll have acceptance in your life. You'll have acceptance in your life. Acceptance of situation. It's okay. Life is this way. I shall put forth efforts, but still it's fine. Life will work out. That acceptance comes. Otherwise, one is always having a disturbed state of mind and anxiety about the future. What will happen to me? What will happen to me? What will happen to me? Hey, what is that? Whatever is going to happen for everyone, that the same thing is going to happen to you also. You are not special. That's why everyone gets common cold. There is no special cold. You may think yourself as a special person, but then when the common cold comes, you know you are a commoner. Whatever is going to happen to everyone, same is going to happen to this body too. Old age, loss, profit, sukha, dukkha. Same. What's so different? Life is same for everybody. Life cycle is same for everybody. Not one person is an exception. Who is that millionaire working on being young? He's drawing some serum from his son's blood and injecting. I don't remember the name. So how far you can do? Brian Johnson? Okay. We'll look it up and we'll put the exact name in satsang. So he's trying to reverse the life cycle. Trying to reverse the aging process. How far can you go? How far can you go? Can you change the life process of death? We'll see. Nowadays you cannot say anything. We'll see. But at least the knowledge that we have today, can you really change it? Aging, the process of aging. You know, there is a Mahabharata story for this reference. Yayati wanted youth to continue. He was old, but he wanted to feel young all over again. So he goes to his son and says, would you give me your youthfulness? So the son agrees, just as this millionaire son is giving the father the blood. So Yayati's son also agreed. Yayati's son gives the father his youthfulness. And fine, this Yayati enjoys the youth. Youth is an enjoyable time, right? The strength in the body, you can pursue pleasures, all of it. So this Yayati enjoys the youth, but then furthermore the story continues and Yayati now faces two sets of old age. Having enjoyed youth twice, he gets old age twice. So nothing can be changed. Life cycle, whatever is the natural course of life, is going to happen. So when you broaden your perspective, from just this materialistic Amazon perspective, you will come to accept the life, world, God in a much more deeper sense. Next one. Now, Vedanta comes in to examine this conclusion. I am a limited individual. That's the conclusion of every person. But as I said, we are constantly fighting that sense of limitation also, all the time. One never wants to feel limited. Now, Vedanta comes in, next plus slide please, to examine the truth of this conclusion. Everybody has concluded, I am limited. So Vedanta comes in and gives this exercise, this methodology called Drig Drishya Viveka, to examine the nature of oneself and the nature of the world. To examine the nature of oneself and nature of world. You see, one of the most basic prakriyas in Vedanta, bread and butter of Vedanta, always have this exercise in your mind. What is that? You are the drik, the seer, and all the senses, through all the senses, you are perceiving the world of objects, and calling it various names and forms as various substances. But now you look at it, that you are a seer, and there is a scene, with what is that scene is the world or objects of the world. You are the seer, I am the seer, and what do I see? The pot. Now, the object changes. I am the seer, I see the Bluetooth speaker. In our life, the objects keep on changing. Once it is a pot, once is something else, next scene is the son, next scene is the daughter. But there is something which is constant. There is something which is unchanging in every situation. What is that? You the seer. You the seer. In fact, one is always expecting changelessness in life. Nobody likes too much changes. You want some change, but then having put a configuration around you, you do not want that to change. A relationship is made and you don't want it to change. A boyfriend is put in place, a girlfriend is put in place, and you don't want that equation to change. If that equation changes, there's a breakup, there is sadness. You don't want anything to change. You don't want things to change. But now answer me. Can we have a situation where outside world doesn't change? Can we ever have that? How many people say yes? Huh? So you all agree that the outer world is constantly changing. But we are expecting consistency, constancy, changelessness too all the time. And where can that be found? It cannot be found in the world. In fact, that changelessness itself is you, the seer, who's ever present. Who's ever present. All my words are changing. The scene is changing. You are ever present, witnessing all my words. You, the hearer, you who has the experience of hearing, the experience of hearing is constantly changing, but the experiencer, you, is constant. Changeless, always the same. So we have located ourselves in the changing world. So you got to take back that mind which is located in the changing world. abide in the self, which is changeless. The Drik Swarupa, which is constant. Eyes, ears, nose, the sense organs are constantly bringing you the objects of the world. The objects are changing. In fact, the sense organs themselves are changing. After 60, the hearing reduces. After 70, the seeing power of the eyes, they change, they dip. We lose the ability to smell. But one thing seems to remain. What is that? Ruchi. Taste on the tongue. It is said that the sense of taste is the first sense to come. A baby is born, it's not even open the eyes. Today's babies, they open the eyes as well. But then that baby can recognize one thing very clearly, the mother's milk. Sense of, take it like that, don't logic with me. Doctors are sitting here. For the sake of example, it's one of the first sense organs to become active. First senses for the baby to gain. And then life goes on. That's the last sense that you lose. Eye power is gone. Its ability to hear is gone. Still you will taste something and this is not good enough. This is not tasty. If it's an Indian man, he will taste something and say, my mother used to do better. So this is always staying. This is always staying. Somebody is looking at their husband now. I saw that. I'm not going to say who. Next slide. Vedanta takes you to examine the nature of this Drik, the seer who's ever present. What is the nature of the seer? You see that you, the seer, is ever present. The scenes are always changing. You, the seer, is ever present. Just like in the movies, the screen is ever present, the scenes are always changing. The screen is the same. Similarly, you, the witness, you, the Drik, the seer of everything, is ever present. And what is that presence? You are ever present. You exist. You exist in all three periods of time. Vedanta brings in another prakriya. You exist as a seer during the waking hours. You exist as a seer in dream state. You exist as the witness to even the deep sleep state, because you say that I slept well, having woken up. So you are ever present. There's never a point in time that you do not exist. You are ever present. You are ever present. That presence is not jada. That presence is not insentient. That presence is a conscious presence. You are, and you are aware of that. It's a conscious presence. You are aware of yourself. You are aware of yourself. And now examine that further. This awareness, which is a conscious presence, does it have any boundary? The body has a boundary. This room has a boundary. Everything has a shape. Shape means boundary, isn't it so? The moment something has a shape, that means what? Space-wise, it is limited. Space-wise, it is limited. Now, look at yourself. You, the seer. Such a simple but such a profound exercise. Keep on doing it. You, the seer. Do you have any shape? You, the seer. Body has a shape. You are even the seer of the body. You are even the witness to the body. You are something separate from the body. You do not hold any shape. There is no shape. Thus, there is no limit. You, the conscious presence, is limitlessness as well. Sat, Chit, Ananda. Ever present. Ever present. Next slide. Now you see the Shastra comes in and gives us this insight. Anything limited never brings you true joy and happiness. Only limitlessness alone can bring you joy. Can bring you joy. Let us look at our own experiences. Let us look at our own experiences. A person had a fractured leg and he was taking rest. He was disappointed. He had summer plans. All that is disrupted. This person is disappointed and sitting there. A bunch of friends come to see this person. And those friends, one of his friends, she tells him a joke. So this person immediately is joyful. He laughs. He laughs. Arey, what happened now? What happened? Why is he laughing? His leg is broken. The entire summer plan is disrupted. How did he laugh? You say because of the joke. Joke is just set of words. Isn't it so? Joke is set of words arranged in a particular context to mean something. This fellow got that meaning of the set of words and this person laughed. What happened there? Momentarily, he experienced joy, even though he was highly disappointed. How did that happen? That experience of joy occurred because that person temporarily, momentarily forgot all his limitations. All his limitations. Whenever there is no limitation, the joy, which is your own true nature, comes to surface and you experience it as happiness. You experience it as happiness. What happened necessarily in that situation is that you temporarily forgot all your problems and could laugh at a joke. So there was this experience of Ananda. The same thing happens when you go out for a holiday. Temporarily, all problems are forgotten. Then you come back home, you have to deal with everything that is there. That's why we want an escape, because we cannot handle that limitations. Whenever you come out of the sense of limitations, there is joy. There is joy in your heart. There is joy in your heart. So, Vedanta helps you get rid of all the limitations that have been superimposed upon oneself. That I am the body. I am limited. I am so and so. I am a small fish in the big pond. I am at this level. I am at this stage. This and this and that. All the limitations we have superimposed on what? That conscious self, which is free. Which is free. Do this exercise. This object, you are the seer, agree? What are you seeing? I thought you all drank chai. That must be good response. You're looking at this speaker. What is the color of this speaker? Black. The object has a color. You, the seer, do you have any color? No color. We discussed earlier, no shape. No limitation whatsoever. Limitless. when you abide in this self, when you truly understand yourself as this limitless existence, consciousness, then you're free from all set of limitations. Thus, you do not require another object or thing for the sake of happiness. You are naturally happy because that is your true nature. You do not require another thing. If there is a thing in your life, it's okay. Agate swagatam kuryat. If something comes in, such a person, a jnani, who has understood the nature of oneself, if something comes, that person accept it. Nirgate bhayam nasti. If something goes, that person doesn't have any fear. No fear. Neutral to the world. It is possible to live such a life. No conflict. No burning desires. Even if a desire is there in the mind in a context, one person can pursue it from a sense of fullness. From a sense of fullness, isn't it so? You are full. You are of the nature of Purnaha, limitlessness itself. And in the Vyavaharika Jagat, a world which is around, in your context, naturally you might have to do a few things. So you will do what you have to do. Nothing wrong with it. So there won't be any pressure inside to do or not do anything for the sake of happiness. Then life has become very objective. You will do what is to be done. You will do what is to be done. Life goes on. Life goes on in the external world, but you are never dependent on anything or anyone for the sake of your happiness. You become a source of joy for everyone else. That is a Vedantic life. That is enlightenment. That is self-realization. That is moksha. Not something else is going to happen. You're going to discover your own true self. Your own true self. Praptasya praptihi, as I said. It so happens a person is wearing the glasses and suddenly starts searching where is the glass, and then you recognize you're already wearing the glasses. You're already wearing the glass. All you need is recognition, recognition. It's there. You got to recognize. You got to recognize. All this and the mind space for this inquiry can happen only when you have some gap. From the world. That's why retreat in the ashram. Some gap. Otherwise you are just there in the context and try to make sense out of it. You can never make sense out of it. You can never make sense out of it. I always observe this every time the flight is taking off and the flight is landing. This is my ritual that I follow. What is that? I peep out of the window and see the ground. When we are here in the city, everything seems absurd. You don't know the way, how everything seems haphazard. Even though there is a format there, but then start driving around, no, just so confusing. Everything seems to be everywhere. You go high up, everything is neatly organized. Everything is in boxes. Even the Bangalore, which seems extremely chaotic, when the flight is taken off at certain altitude, you look down, everything is in squares. There's a road, there's a town, there is a water pond, this and that. So what we need is a higher perspective to make sense of life, to make sense out of our own life. So you move on to this higher perception. So that's where when you realize, when you recognize that limitlessness is my nature and limitlessness is but joy, but ananda, which is your own swarupa. Furthermore, Vedanta now analyzes further. It's an inquiry, a very deep inquiry. Vedanta now talks about knowledge. How do we gain knowledge? So we use our pramana. Pramana is means, means, means of knowledge. Through the eyes, you get the knowledge about the objects, shapes, color. Through the hands, texture, the feel. Through the nose, the sense and smell, etc. We use the sense organs in order to collect information from the world and make sense of the world around us. So to know this speaker as speaker, you have to use your eyes and see this object and then say, I am seeing this speaker. And apply that to all other objects. You use your sense organs in order to see something or feel something, touch something, and then you have some knowledge and sense of that object or the world. Next slide. Now there is a very deep-seated sense of I. Very deep-seated sense of I. You always say, I am. Isn't it so? One of my favorite examples to illustrate this is that nowadays, I don't know how relevant is this example. You go to somebody's home and you knock at their door. You knock at their door. And the person inside the home asks you, who is it? And then you say, it's me, it's I. The example is better when you put the local Indian language. Then you knock on the door and the person asks, "Kaun hai?" Then you say, "Main hu." What is this "main hu"? What does it say? It's me, it's I. It's I. You see, that is your first identity. Without your knowledge, did your mother train you that when somebody knocks at the door, you should say I? Recollect your childhood memory. No mother has ever trained that child. Somehow naturally it comes. You say I, main hu, main. Then the person, who I? Who is it? Then you say, I am Swami Sachidananda, or I am Revati, I am Kumar, whoever, whatever is your name. You see? That name is not the first thing which is coming to your mind. That name is not your primary identity. What is your primary identity? It's I. I am. I am. So which sense organ did you use? Can we go back to the previous slide? So which sense organ did you use in order to say I? Did you use the ears? Nose? Tongue? None of it, not based on sense perception. Sense perceptions are valid or inference. So the next object is to show inference, something you may not directly see, but you infer something must be there through your previous experience of correlation and seeing something. You may gain knowledge even through inference. But, next slide, when you said I, which sense organ did you use in order to say this, in order to make sense of it, in order to know this? No sense organ. No sense organ. This I, that I am, is self-evident. Doesn't require a means of knowledge like that of sense organs in order to reveal this I. It's svatas siddhaha. Sanskrit uses a terminology, svatas siddhaha, ever present. Ever present, but that which is ever present, we ignore that the most. Life, that's called life. Husband is all the time there, but then we ignore. Same happens to the wife, whatever. Most obvious, we take it for granted. Parents, we take them for granted. Once they are no more there, then the regret comes in one's heart. I could have done this. I could have done that. I must have called. I must have texted more. This and that, etc. That's not our context of discussion, but this is the most obvious, most ever-present, self-revealing, self-evident. We have seldom paid attention to it. We have seldom paid attention to it. Next slide. Self-evident Atma, pay attention to it. Next one. Yeah, we'll stay here. So, next slide please. That's the definition of Atma in Sanskrit. What Tattva Bodha is indicating, basically, we have to, in order to truly appreciate that you, I, who's ever present, you got to see that this I is ever separate from the Pancha Koshas. We'll discuss that further. For now, for this discussion's sake, take it as body, something separate from the body. Something separate from the body. Because from this place of I, you're saying this body. You're the silent witness of the body. Next slide. Next slide. So Vedanta now brings you to this exercise. Now, having got this much of information, having this much of understanding, Vedanta gets you to this point. In fact, this is the beginning and the most important sadhana, the end sadhana too. Now, keep on recognizing what is real and what is unreal. What is real, what is unreal. Now, Vedanta gives you a definition. That is, that which is permanent is real. That which is temporary or that which is changing is unreal. Now look at it from this Drik Drishya Viveka standpoint. You, the seer, is ever present, permanent. And you see whatever you see is constantly changing and it is temporary, thus it is unreal. The world is constantly changing, thus unreal. Thus unreal. Know what is self. That which is ever present is the self, and whatever keeps on changing is non-self, non-I, which is anatma, non-self. Whatever is ever present is the truth. Whatever keeps on changing is just an appearance. It's just an appearance. We'll discuss more what it means to know this, what it means to appreciate this fact in the further class. Next slide, please. Now, Vedanta, as we have been discussing, moksha is freedom from error. What is that error? I have taken myself to be the limited being, a limited person. In fact, one is not limited, one is limitless. In order to correct that error, you need jnana, you need knowledge. And Upanishads are the means in order to correct this error. So Jnana Yoga is your primary sadhana, the primary highway. Primary highway to moksha. Then Swamiji, you discussed japa, dhyana, puja, etc. What is the place for all of that? Next slide. So many side roads lead you to the highway. There is a place for everything. So I could only put 2 roads, you put many more roads also, all connecting to the highway. Karma Yoga, Bhakti, Puja, Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, Patanjali Yoga. All of them will help you connect to the main highway by giving you clarity of thinking, clarity of mind. So Jnana Yoga, knowledge, wisdom through the study of Upanishads, which help you correct this error. The Upanishads pramanas, the means of knowing what true nature of yourself. That self which is self-evident I have been mistaking that self to be the body, mind, sense complex. I want to come out of this erroneous notion. How do I do that? Upanishads give you pointers, ways in order to get rid of that error. So any sadhana of Sanatana Dharma can, if properly done, can help you connect to the main highway, which is the Jnana Yoga. So we discussed bhakti, japa, puja, all of it will lead you to Jnana Yoga, the main path to moksha. And that jnana is gained by the study of the Shastras through a competent guru. So that's the bird's eye view of Vedanta here, Vedanta in this context. So we will continue further. If you still need some more clarity, in between we can have one more 1.0 class. Otherwise, from tomorrow class will be again Upadesha Saram. To be continued. Paunaf Punyena Shravanam Kuryat. Again and again, we keep on recollecting basics, fundamentals to come out of our error. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha, Sarve Santu Niramayaha, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Any questions, doubts? We'll spend a few more minutes. Yeah. If you can please stand up, the mic will come to you.
Thank you, Swamiji.